We've already talked about it in length that it is strange that Diego Lopez is getting this rematch. We don't need to rehash that. Here we are. He's getting the rematch, and so let's do the same thing we did for Gaethje versus Patty, and do a little weapons and weaknesses. So, what do you think is Volkanovski's best weapon against Diego Lopez, and what is his biggest weakness? Essentially, we're trying to figure out what is the angle that each person has against their opponent. What is their path to victory? So let's start with Volkanovski. We'll talk about his weapon, his weakness, and then we'll go to Lopez. I think Volkanovski's best weapon, this was his best, and I'm just going to go based off of what happened in their last fight. His best weapon is going to be circling to his right. Just keep circling to your right the entire time, because basically he needs to be circling away from Diego Lopez's power hand the whole time, because that's really all that Diego Lopez has. Diego Lopez doesn't have a super spectacular jab, right? His stand-up is honestly not that sophisticated. Volkanovski has him beat 100,000% in that department. If it's a nice, clean, pretty kind of fight, Volk wins that all day. And so I think the best way he has to keep himself safe, keep circling away from Lopez's power side the whole time. And another thing he did really well is that every time he circled, basically circling away from Diego Lopez's right side, so Volkanovski is essentially taking steps toward Lopez's lead foot. Every time Lopez tried to correct himself and keep pivoting in order to like stay lined up, Volk would just pop him with a jab. He was really good at that, and so that's what I think is Volkanovski's best weapon in this fight. Keep circling to your right, because what it's going to do is it's also going to stop Lopez from backing him up. That's where Volkanovski, it always starts to get a little scary. As a Volk fan, you're watching him like, oh gosh, please don't get knocked out. Every time he backs up and does that thing where he kind of tilts his head back like that.
Yeah,
it's like scary stuff.
Ilya flashbacks.
Oh yeah, big
Goodness.
time.
Yeah, I honestly, it's not really like a strength, but I would say it's his IQ. You know what I mean? It's just knowing when to circle out, keeping Diego at bay. You know what I mean? Like I'm thinking, teeps, calf kicks, just keeping Diego away from him. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if Diego does get close, just kind of like use your head movement. Do not stay stationary. Get off the center line. Like this is how you stay alive when you have a power puncher like Diego. You know what I mean? And like you said, Diego's striking really isn't that like sophisticated or whatever. It's just he just has a very
basic.
Heavy right hand.
Heavy right hand. It's very basic.
It's how he dropped Volk in the first fight. It's just same thing. A 1-2, a 1-2, a 2. He just throws that right hand.
Yeah.
So if you just keep circling in the same direction, he's never going to hit you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Volkanovski's biggest weakness potentially in this fight. As much as I said that Diego Lopez's striking isn't that complex, there's not a lot of layers to it. He did have Volkanovski hurt a few times. And again, I think the biggest problem is Volkanovski doesn't really do that well when he's on the back foot. He doesn't do a very good job of keeping himself, like whenever he's experiencing a lot of pressure, he doesn't really back up and circle out. That's one thing that Puliayev did really well against Ateba Gautier last night. Every time Ateba Gautier tried to back him up and land that huge right hand, Puliayev just ran away from it. Like he just circled off to his right. And I think that Volk needs to do that, but he doesn't really do that very well. And if he's going to get hurt with anything in this fight, I think that's what it's going to be. Volk is actually decent at handling himself in the pocket. Like, for example, when they both crash in, he's good at always rolling away from Lopez's right side, because Lopez is always a right hook or uppercut, right? Lopez always throws either like a left hook, right hook, or it's like a left hook, like as Volk is coming in, and then uppercut. Those are all, that's Diego Lopez's go-to combos. So every time Volk rolls away from that uppercut, he keeps himself safe. I think the bigger thing that I'm worried about with Volkanovski is backing up, keeping his head on the center line, and putting his chin in the air. I do not understand why he does this thing, the sort of Heisman thing where he's backing up like this It's like, dude, every time he gets popped in the face while his chin is up like that, it's like, bro, circle out this way, like what Israel Adesanya does. You know, Izzy's very, very good at circling away too, especially earlier on in his career. But anyways, that's why I think it's Volk's biggest weakness.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I'm just trying to think out loud a little bit. Like, I think Volk's takedown defense is really good. I do not see him getting submitted ever in his career. And I do think his movement tends to be very good. His movement, I mean, like making sure he circles out, do not get backed up to the cage ever. I mean, that's how he got knocked out by Ilya. You know what I mean? I don't know if he should be in the clinch ever in this fight. You know what I mean? Looking at Lopez and the uppercuts he landed on Sadiq Youssef, right? I think those are one of Diego Lopez's greatest strengths is like his up close shots like that and clinch shots. And I think he could have a lot of success against Volkanovski. So it's not really a weakness, but I would say for Volk, definitely avoid the clinch with Diego Lopez. You know?
Yeah, I agree. Now for Diego Lopez, I think his best weapon, and maybe this, I don't know if this is really a weapon per se, because I would say this is more something that Lopez needs to do rather than something that he does well. And it's not something he doesn't do, but I would say it is something that he definitely should be doing, because he needs to stop Volkanovski from circling away. I remember in their first fight, it was really frustrating him, especially in the 5th round. He kind of had this thing on his face like, dude, why aren't we engaging with each other? Because Volk was just too elusive. He was too slippery. It's like Lopez couldn't ever have him in the right place at the right time to land the shot he wanted to. And I think that if he cuts Volkanovski off from constantly circling out to Volkanovski's right, so for Lopez, this is things like inside leg kicks, right? Left hooks, this kind of thing. That will help him a lot, right? So for Lopez, this is like, it's something that Volkanovski actually does really well. Little pendulum kick where he steps up with his back leg, kicks the inside of Volkanovski's lead leg, or left hooks. Basically things that stop Volkanovski from wanting to circle into Diego Lopez's lead side. I think the more he does that, the more likely he is to cut Volk off and actually be able to back him up and get him into that danger zone. And that's where Diego Lopez is going to shine, is if he really makes the fight kind of ugly. So that's what I would say would be Diego Lopez's greatest weapon. That is, it's the tool that he can make the most of in this fight. Just cut Volkanovski off from circling to his right. Throw the inside leg kick, throw a left hook, things like that.
For sure. And dude, honestly, it's kind of like cliche to say this, but dude, throw caution to the wind. We've seen Diego Lopez get cracked, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't get knocked out.
Yeah.
Volkanovski will not knock out Diego Lopez. He simply does not have the ability to. Like, I don't think so. In my opinion, after seeing what he went through with Jean Silva, I don't think he can get knocked out. So just cut him off and back him up. It's simple, really, to me at least. It's like, you're not gonna get knocked out, so just bully him. Be confident, back him up, and throw straight punches. Like, that's all I have to say.
That's actually something that Ilia Topuria does really well. It's something that I think is maybe a little bit of a misconception a lot of people have about him, is that Ilia Topuria does have good head movement, but he also takes chances. Ilia puts himself out there. I mean, there were moments when he fought Max Holloway where Max hit him with some good shots a few times. Same with Volk. But Ilia is very, very good at picking moments to really commit and be like, okay, I'm going to go all in here and really try and back him up. I'm going to throw like a 4 or 5 punch combination. Maybe I'll eat a counter shot in the middle of it. Who cares? I can tank it. I'll just bite on the mouthpiece. And, sometimes you need to take some shots in order to get to, put enough pressure out there to really get your opponent where they need to be. I think Lopez didn't do enough of that. He tried too hard it was almost like he was too tactical or something in their first fight. And Volkanovski is always going to win with a tactics kind of game. Whereas Lopez, he needs to have moments where, you're starting to get frustrated that you can't back him up. Bite on the mouthpiece, tank the first shot that Volkanovski throws at you, throw a couple shots, and boom, you've got him up against the cage. You know what I mean? That's the kind of thing that I think he needs to do. So I agree. Lopez's greatest weakness. I think it was his greatest weakness in the first fight. And it's just a lack of commitment. I think against Volk his footwork is too tricky. If you only throw one or two punches, he's going to see that stuff and he's going to be one step ahead of you. You know, you're never going to land a super clean shot when you do that kind of thing. You have to commit a lot harder to that, harder to whatever you're doing against Volk, I think, in order to back him up properly. Again, Ilya did that really well. When he knocked him out, he backed him up with a 4 or 5 punch combination, right? Mm-hmm. Volk was totally safe from the first two, right? He did his thing where he's backing up like this, and he slipped the first couple shots. It was the 5th shot or the 6th shot that did him in. I can't remember a single moment when Diego Lopez fought Volk the first time where he threw anything to that level. And so, yeah, I think that Diego Lopez's greatest weakness in this fight is not committing hard enough. Just throwing 1-2 punch combinations and just letting Volk win a super clean technical fight, because that's what he'll do.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just his IQ, man. Like, yeah. I don't want to like just disrespect him, but it's like the dude doesn't know how to adapt in a fight. He kind of comes in with one just kind of game plan, I guess you can say, and he just kind of does it the entire fight. Like I don't think, like you said, he changed up his game plan the entire first Volk fight. He just walked in the same direction the entire time, through the same combo the entire time. He didn't land anything except for one time at the end of round 2.
Yeah.
It's just like he's got to be able to see patterns, cut Volk off. At the end of the day, it's all movement. It's all movement, because that's all that Volk really does. I mean, that's one of the biggest things he's good at. You know what I think?
His footwork is really good. Positioning. He's always in the right place at the right time.
So I think Diego just needs to adapt in the fight and recognize Volk's movement patterns and just cut him off. Yeah. That's all I can say, you know?
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it. You know, I wish, part of me thinks that stacking 2 numbered events in a row, it feels like the hype, it's hard for it to build up so much for this fight, because it feels like we're kind of coming off of the big high of UFC 324. Yeah, but it's pretty solid, especially the main card. I think the prelims and the early prelims are, they're okay, but the main card is very solid. So definitely watch that. You won't want to miss it.